Well, I wear my clothes like this because I can. And I wear my hair like this because I can. And I walk around like this because I can. And I do my thing like this because it's who I am. And if you expect me to give you an apology for being nothing that you're used to, go right on ahead, wait, hold your breath and concentrate. Keep holding till your face turn blue. My road ain't your road, but just I know just where I'm going. My flow ain't your flow, but just I know just how I'm flowing. I'ma do my thing. Please feel free to hate and complain. I'ma do my thing. Say what you want, but this one ain't gonna change. I'ma do my thing. I can't wear my clothes like you because I'm not.
Hey, everybody.
Hello. So you can't hear?
Mary. Mm-mm.
Oh.
Hi, Deborah.
Hello, Deborah.
Hope you had a great day today.
Okay. So, Erica, how was your day while we waiting on Mary to come back?
I think I had a relaxed day today. I think it was pretty good. It was productive, but it was a good day. How about yours? I had a pretty good day.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, you're perfect. Welcome to Life in Sync.
Thank you. Welcome to Life in Sync, everybody. Hope you all have had a great day. We're having a few little
Yay!
but we're on and popping right now. So we just really want to go ahead and dive into the topic and thank everybody for coming on. Hope that you've had a great day. And our topic for tonight is creative space. Creative space. And creative space is really just talking about the concept of embracing your mental, physical, and emotional environment so that you can tap into your creativity. We are created by God, the ultimate creator of all things. And he created us to be like him. So we all have the potential to be creative. Some of us are not creative because maybe we don't really feel like we are creative. Some of us don't really realize, how to tap into our creativity or to get into a creative mentally, emotionally, and physically. And some of us are fearful of being creative because when we are creative, that causes us to have a bigger vision. It causes us to start to have to step out into purpose, and we have to make those decisions about the things that we have come up with as to whether we're going to execute those things or not. So today we want to talk about creative spaces, and I'm joined by two very creative individuals, and we're just going to share some things with you today about how to be creative, how to get in the creative space, the things that we do to make sure that we are continuously creating and building, because even in time of pandemic, even in time of uncertainty, even in times when we don't feel like we have anything to work with, there is something on the inside of you that is boiling over and wanting to come out. And you may not know necessarily what it is or how to strategize or who to contact or connect to or what you need to do to pull it out so that it can manifest. So we're going to just, talk about what we do as creative individuals, how we tap into our creative space, and hopefully that it will help somebody and empower somebody to continue to be creative and not be fearful, even though those things seem big, they seem impossible. you know, you don't really see yourself that way, but you have to start seeing yourself the way God sees you. You have to see yourself
Yes.
as an individual created for a purpose. And if you're living and you don't feel like you're walking in your purpose, it's really a good conversation for you to be in, because we are all creative. We should all be producing, um, being in the world but not of the world, and knowing who we are in God, and making sure that we are uh, manifesting those things and executing what we need to execute. And basically, our creativity will be able to bless and empower other people. So we'll
Yes.
get started today. We're talking about, you know, new ideas. We're talking about perception as far as our vision and how we see things. We're talking about not being fearful, those things that might hinder us in our creative ability. So I'm gonna go ahead and start with you, Erica. If you want to tell us about, you know, uh, just share with us about creativity. If you ever have had any issues being creative, and you know, since you really just stepped out, which is a really big deal for a lot of people, stepping out, you know, knowing that everybody's looking at you, and you know, knowing that everybody's not for you, you know, knowing that you have an idea and that there is a possibility that it might not work or you might fail, you know, kind of being new and really stepping out. You know, I just want you to go ahead and start the conversation off with what you have for us about creative space.
Okay. For me, creativity begins with focus. In order for me to for me, I have to get in that quiet place, and not just, the physical quiet place, getting in the room, being quiet. It's a quiet place in my mind as well. We have, as women, we have many different hats, and, we're mothers, we're, workers, we're daughters, we have so many different hats that we wear, and you have to put each one of those roles in its perspective, its right place, so you can get to that quiet place and not let all that overlap. You have to put yourself in that place, or like I said earlier, compartmentalize, and then just think of what it is that you're trying to do. For me, I'm more of a black and white, write it down kind of person. So for me, I have to get in that quiet place in my mind and physically, and make an outline, not something formal like a indent, what, nothing like that. But I just need to write. For me, I'm a pencil and paper person. I need to write it down just so I can say, okay, it's official. I'm going to do it. I've got a plan to do this. And once I've written it down, and that's when the ideas, they flow again. I can start breaking it down and saying, okay, I can get this out of this topic, and I can get that out of that topic, or this plan or that plan. So because I'm that visual type person, I have to see it on paper, and then I can carry it on. And I just have to make sure I'm in a place of quiet. There's some days when I know I'm going to be home by myself. The kids are out doing whatever. I set aside that day, and I can just kind of meditate and think, what am I going to do? What are my plans? What are my heart's desire? And let me just jot a few things down. It's one thing to think about it and come up with these ideas, but if you're like me, you got a lot of stuff going on and you can't keep up with everything at once. So I have to write it down because I'll forget it. And then even later, I can come back to it and say, okay, yeah, let me pick up where I left off and go there. So for me, I have to find a quiet place. I have to write it down, and then the ideas will begin to flow. Even with that, like you were commenting earlier, that sometimes fear comes in, and you're afraid that what your ideas are, it may not be received by other people. But the way I overcame that and saying, I know if it's in my heart, I need to get it out. So I had to put down that thing. I had to not let it override my own thoughts, and just go forward and do what what's in my heart to do.
Okay. And it's so important that, you know, when you said about quietness, that's one of my methods of quietness. Now, some people are very creative when they're in their soulish place, when they're in their feelings, when they're angry or sad or upset or whatever, you know, especially a lot of artists and people who paint and, you know, stuff like that. But my mind is more of I guess, of a business mindset. And so my type of creativity requires the quietness, to quiet my soul, you know, so that I can hear from God, so that I can think, you know. And it's so many times when you say writing things down, that brought something out to me, because a lot of things is as far as business, goals and things like that. A name may come up in my spirit, and I may put it in my phone, or an idea may come up for later, and I may feel like I might have to go back. It's not necessarily for that time, but it's definitely something that when that time comes, it'll be brought back to your remembrance. And when you get ready to put your hands to it to make it happen, it'll be time to go forward. But just really focus. Focus is so important as well. And it's just so many distractions going on right now. But it's so important that you're creative in this hour, so that in the next hour, when the seasons change, when everything, returns to whatever status is going to be, and that you're in a position to go ahead and execute. And it's nothing like seeing those visions that you have. It's nothing like seeing your creativity come to fruition and manifest, and you actually walk in it. So that's very important. Ronnie, what you got for us?
Well, I'm a more visual person, and I'm a doer, so I have to be doing. A lot of my creativity comes when I'm doing. And I don't know, I use the practice of, if you ever heard the term of paradigm shifting, I use that practice a whole lot. I see where I want to go, or I see what is placed in my heart. I start visualizing that thing, and if it takes me to do that every morning when I wake up, that is what I do. And that paradigm shift term comes from he's a physicist and a philosopher named Thomas Kuhn. And so that, and all a paradigm shift is that you're actually changing concepts or practices of how something works or how it is accomplished. So that's what paradigm shifting is. So you might have something that's placed in your heart, but you know that you're not there yet. So in your mind, you're changing that. You're seeing yourself already there. So you're creating that shift. And so that visualization, it gives me that drive, that focus, that energy to see myself where I need to be. And also, like Elijah McCoy, he's a great example of being a paradigm shifter. Elijah McCoy we all know, he was an engineer, trained engineer. He wasn't able to find a job in the U.S. with being an engineer, and so he ended up taking a job on the railroad. And of course, the position was beneath him because he was an engineer. But his position was to oil and lubricate the train to keep it going. So he created the self-lubricating device that is known for, it works in cars, it works in, that's why the railroad system is working the way it is. So he created a device that shifted the way the railroad system operated, and also not only the railroad system, but the world. So when you look at something like that, and I look at the fact that with him being placed in a position that was lower than what he was qualified for, I look at it with him being in a position that was lower than what he was qualified for. Oftentimes our creativity is birthed or is activated out of those low moments, or those low places, And so with him, he took that and it opened his mindset, to something else that was not seen, and that some people might have felt like was impossible, but was very possible because he was able to see it. And like Mary had tapped into that about, us being created from a creator. That's one of our abilities, to be able to create and to do. And then also when you think of it, when you're creating, you tap into originality. It's either you're doing something that hasn't been done, or it hasn't been done your way. And so you tap into that creativity, that originality. That's when you really feel accomplished of what you do, because you know that it didn't come from nowhere but God. Who created it. Like, I'm really doing what I'm designed to do because it was already within me. And that's a prime indication too. It's something that's already in your heart. You already have access to it. You just have to assess it. You have to do it. And so I'm just a visual person, and like Eric was talking about writing the vision down, and I think about that scripture about writing the vision down and making it plain for those who read it can run it. When you think about that scripture, when we're writing, you're creating. It's words. Just like tap back into what Mary was saying about the creator. He formed us with words. Formed the world with words. So that's a part of that being creative. Writing those words, you're creating. So I'm a visual. I have to see it. And
Right,
so
me
some people
too.
might think it's crazy to wake up and you actually, seeing yourself in a place, whether it's want to be in a boardroom, you see yourself sitting at that table in the boardroom, you know.
Yeah. Some things that you said when we go back to things that might limit your creativity, sometimes
Mhm.
people disqualify themselves because we're our own worst clinic, we're our
Mhm.
own worst critics. That inner voice where we tear ourselves down,
Mhm.
where we don't give ourselves a chance, where we beat
Mhm.
ourselves up before we even get the opportunity to try. And then
Mhm.
another thing I want to mention is about, some people may feel like they don't have enough education. Then some
Mhm.
people may feel like because they have all these degrees that, certain things are beneath them. But
Uh-huh.
the thing about being creative, the thing about being successful, the thing about, doing something that's never been done is being able to identify problems and then becoming a
Mhm.
solution to that problem. And that is creative. It
Yes.
doesn't matter what your educational level is. If you can come up and invent something to solve a problem, or you could
That's
put a
right.
program in place, or you could put an entity, in place that resolves the issue. And sometimes we
Mhm.
don't want to build, we don't want to work, we just want to walk into. And so,
Mhm.
in our efforts to be creative, we have to, get off of some of this stuff that we get stuck on. It might be easy to say, "Oh, I have this many degrees," and to work
Mhm.
here or to do this or to connect with this person is beneath me. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
I could be like,
Mhm.
I could be like, and I'll use our relationship for an example. Okay, Mary, you got more degrees than a thermometer, but you hanging out with Rhonda. She's a cosmetologist. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Some people
Mhm.
may not
Mhm.
get that connection. It has nothing to do with uh, what we have, as our accolades. But iron
Mhm.
sharpens iron, and it's
Right.
Mhm.
about purpose. And you have to connect. We connect with people for the wrong reasons, for image
Mm.
Mhm.
reasons, or for what we feel
Mhm.
like, they can do for us or put us on quick and all this kind of stuff. And we don't want to walk with each other, and we don't want to take the time to build and grow with each other. We want to get somebody who's already on a platform or in a place where we feel like we ought to be. So I would rather walk with people who are building,
Building.
who are
Mhm.
making to come up with me versus having to pledge my allegiance to people who are already in that place and feel like I have to owe them something, or they feel like they created,
Mhm.
me or made me or
Yeah.
put
That's
me in this
good.
position.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So we have to be always mindful of our connections when we're creating, because we don't want to be with people who hinder or block our creativity.
Mhm.
If I have an idea and I'm excited about it and I want to express that to a certain person that I feel like could benefit, encourage me, or point
Mhm.
me in the right direction, then I want to be able to do that without having to, owe you my whole life and existence.
Mm.
And then go up and let everybody know how you helped me one time
Uh-huh.
back in '85. No, I don't want to do
Uh-huh.
that. When I'm being creative and building and, making sure that, we are becoming and evolving and, just being in a place where you can embrace other people and help other people to become and, help other people to strategize and bounce off ideas.
Mhm.
That's, but we have to be able to help each other and not get so caught up on our accolades or whatever we feel is pertinent, because it's not always about a degree, and it's not always
Mhm.
about not having a degree, and it's not always about connection unless you have the connection, which you're connected
That's
to
it.
Okay.
God, and
Okay.
He'll
That's
direct
it.
your path. He'll make the crooked places straight. You know what I'm saying? He'll download you with a witty idea and an invention. He'll
Mhm.
give you the wisdom to maneuver through.
Right.
And it's a
Right.
scripture that I was studying, I think it's Proverbs 8 and 12, and it talks about wisdom residing or dwelling in prudence. And
Mm-hmm.
prudence, in that context, means discretion in good
Mm-hmm.
judgment and good sense. And so sometimes we have to use discretion, good judgment, and good sense so that we can get to the place of knowledge and understanding so that we can be creative and do the things that God, has purpose for us to do. And my creativity is not like yours. Your creativity is
Right.
not like mine,
Mm-hmm.
but we're all serving a purpose,
Right.
Yes.
to make it better for somebody else. We're the answer to somebody else's problem, whether they
Mm-hmm.
want
Mm-hmm.
to believe it or not, whether they want to accept the help or not. And
Uh-huh.
every steward is the answer to somebody's problem. You are the answer
Right.
to my problem. You know what I'm saying?
Yes,
So we have to
indeed.
look at it like, you got something I need. We're not meant to
Mm-hmm.
be in it alone. But as we are creative, we can't we got to be in a mindset where we're not trying to destroy each other or cut each other's throat.
Right.
This would never
Yes.
work if we were trying to cut each other's throat.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to
Yes,
be really
indeed.
careful um, in our efforts to be creative. Like I said, using that wisdom, being discreet, making good sense, having good judgment, as God
Mm-hmm.
continues to cultivate us and to give us the creativity. And then
Mm-hmm.
don't snob about your creativity because you are created here to be a blessing to somebody else. Even if it's as
Yes.
simple as finding a creative way to tell your testimony, to
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
tell what you've been through in life, to be a blessing to somebody else. It's being creative, and there are lots of ways to do that, but we just have to tap into it.
I think sometimes when we're creative and we come up with ideas, we may not know the exact steps of how to get there, and we have the picture, like Rhonda was saying, in the end of what we want to see at the end, but we don't know how to get there. But that doesn't mean that you don't move forward. Well, I don't know how to do it, so I'm just not going to try. No,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of times in life, you have to take the steps. It's called faith. You have to start doing something, and then a doorway will come open, or in the
Mm-hmm.
course of you doing something, you'll meet somebody and they will tell you the next step or the next direction or the next connection. So we can't let, just because I don't have all the answers, you can't let that hinder you. You still got to move forward. If it was purpose, like Mary Rhonda was saying, in your heart to do, you need to move on it. Write that
Mm-hmm.
vision, make it plain, write it down, and just start taking, even if it's little bitty steps, if it's just making a couple phone calls, talking to some people, you need to get that done. There's no reason to be stagnant, especially this season. And I've heard a lot of conversations saying that now that we're in the pandemic or we're sheltered in place, you need to be doing
Mm-hmm.
something, which is absolutely true. God didn't create us just to stand here and do nothing. We need to be
Okay.
doing something. And this is the prime
Mm-hmm.
time for us to be getting things done and for that creativity to
Mm-hmm.
show and to
Yeah.
birth out of that low place that we're in, like Rhonda was saying. So I think
Mm-hmm.
it's real important, just because you don't know the answer, don't just stop or don't do nothing. Do something.
Mm-hmm. And being creative, like we have really been saying, it's a combination of speaking, it's a combination of writing, combination of singing, and it goes back to our creator. He
Right.
spoke, he spoke the stars, he spoke, made our world, and then think about it, he used his hands to create man. So you gotta think about it. He used a combination of things, and so we get stuck trying to flow in one vein, But you have to combine some things to get things accomplished, and so
Right.
that's one thing that you have to look at too. Quit looking at one way. It's multiple ways. If you would allow yourself to open up and realize, hey, not only I can use this, but I can use this as well. That's that being original. That's bringing everything together. And oftentimes I think too, when we're creative people, when you really tap into who God has called you to be and being creative, you will come across individuals that will envy and jealous, that will envy you and be jealous of you because they're seeing the fruits of your labor, of what you have, or your obedience. Really, that's what it is, of your obedience.
Right.
But you have to really look back and think about it. Where did that really come from? They're not really hating on the fact of the house that you have, or the car that you have, or or things that you have. What really gets them is the drive that you have. That you have that drive to actually step out and accomplish, or that faith, as you were saying, to make those steps, to take that move. That's what they're lacking. But maybe if they would make a combination of things, like Erica was saying, she has to get in a still place. So what if they took time to get in a still place to actually hear maybe their own thoughts, or hear what God has to say to them? What if they actually took the time? Like I said, I was a mover. I have to do, and then I started seeing things differently. When you start moving, you start seeing things differently. So you have to think about it. And Mary, you have to think it's a combination of things, and you have to tap into it and see what's going to work for you.
And I like
Yeah.
this, what Latasha said. We can't shun people, or because they're not what we think they should be in our lives. That person could be placed along your path to pray you through a situation. It may not be because they've arrived. It may be they're going to help you take the steps to get to the place you need to be. So we shouldn't shun godly connections, like Latasha is saying. I agree with that.
Yeah. They don't have the status like you thought.
We were talking about like envy and jealousy and stuff like that. A lot of times, especially when you are a creative person, when you do step out, people don't realize what you wrestle with mentally within yourself, just to execute and to do the things and to put yourself out there on display.
Yeah.
Right.
It's always like, hey, look at me type of thing. Because like I said, wisdom dwells in discretion. And so, but there comes a time when you have to, execute and see the thing through. And I thought about, when you were talking about how people might be jealous, or how they might, or somebody might envy you, or just have a problem, but it may not necessarily all the time be about you. Even
it's
in
not.
the Bible, Genesis chapter 4, when it talks about Cain and Abel, and how Abel gave his offering to God, and then Cain gave his offering to God, and then Cain was good, he was fine, but then Abel gave his offering to God. The Bible never said that they argued as siblings. The Bible never said that one parent treated one better. The Bible never said that Cain wanted Abel's job. The Bible never said that Cain had an issue with anything that Abel possessed. But Cain's issue was the fact of how God responded. Sometimes
He responded
people don't like
so.
the way other people respond to you, and they don't like the way that God has responded. And so it creates jealousy, which it ain't you personally. It's just how people are responding and reacting to what you're doing. Because deep down inside, they wish that they were doing the thing. But instead of finding out how to be better, they go on attack.
Yeah.
And so you spend all that negative energy attacking people who are creative, who are actually walking in purpose and doing the thing that God has purposed them to do, instead of keeping that same energy, and becoming productive yourself.
Yes.
And so we have to always be aware of that. Sometimes it's not personal. It's just that they don't like the response that you're getting. They don't like the fact that you were able to bring it to fruition, because it's something inside of them that's not quite right. And at the end of the day, they want to be doing something. And it ain't necessarily that they want to be doing the thing that you want to do, but it's just that they may be in a place of stagnation, fear,
exactly,
or whatever it is that's in their heart that's not right, that keeps them from being productive. Because if you want God to dwell in your heart and make you creative and productive, then you got to get a clean heart.
There you
have
go.
to have a clean. You have to at least be trying to process your way through your issues, so that you can be in a healthy place. Because if you did come up with something creative, you slap it in everybody's face. You wouldn't even use the solve part. You be doing these things. So we have to make sure that we are mentally, physically, and emotionally, whole and healthy, in our soul, so that we can be in a place where we can flow in the spirit. And so that when we are blessed to be creative, when we are blessed with strategy and wisdom and creativity to solve a problem or help somebody else, that we can be humble and gracious and caring and loving in how we present it to others, and how we present ourselves to other people.
And when you're confident in who you are, and when you are walking in purpose, you're not afraid to share it.
Right.
You're not afraid to do that. And I know with me, I have helped many of people. You think I throw anything up in people's faces? No, because at that time, it was an unction in me to share and to show someone the way. Look, God used me to do that because
Right.
that right there is blessing someone else because that's back again who He has created me to be. You know, and it's a blessing to be able to do that, to be able to push people and to be able to actually show them or some steps that they could do to untap that or unlock that potential that they have. So don't be
Yeah,
stingy with
everything.
it.
Yeah, everything is definitely not about, getting paid, because I've given lots of strategies.
No.
I've given some advice to a lot of people. They ain't never called my name. I ain't never said a thing. I wish them the best of luck. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? It
Yes.
ain't, you know what I'm saying? I'm glad I could be a blessing to you. You may never ever publicly acknowledge me, but I know the seed that I sown in you, and I want to
Mm-hmm.
see, and I
Right.
want God's best for people. I don't want to try to, well, I'm the one that said, no, I want you to be the best you can be.
No.
And
Yes.
then pay me, but that's fine because I'm not in it. It's not always about money. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because
Mm-hmm.
God blesses you other ways. So I definitely don't mind if I could be a blessing to somebody, then that's what I do. And so it's
Yes.
so easy sometimes caught up in feeling when you are creative, when you do have strategy, when you do spend time with God, when you are somebody that's out there doing it, and people do come to you, we say, use me, Lord, or, we want to be a help to somebody, but then we get mad because
Okay.
we feel like we've been used. Because we all feel
Yes.
like we've been used. You know what I'm saying? But you have to grow to a place of
Uh-huh.
maturity and understand that, that's just part of the process. People are going to
That's
use you. Sometimes it is strictly business. They don't want a relationship with you. They just want the
mm-hmm.
information. And they don't want to pay you for it. They just want it for free.
Mm-hmm.
So you just, hey, if it's in your heart to tell them and help them, tell them and help them. But
Mm-hmm.
then again, business thing, and you feel like, this is something you need to, charge for. It's part of what you do, then charge for it. But the point is to just, you're gonna, even in being creative, even in being a producer, even being one who executes and steps out, even though we are sometimes fearful, we are sometimes, a little, aware of maybe not being received, even though that issue of rejection might come up. We still have to be in a place where we're able to function and be able to help other people, as we continue to grow.
Mm-hmm.
Because the more I pour out, the more God pours in. So, I like
Exactly.
helping people because, I'm glad, to see what else God gonna do. So that's how it
Mm-hmm.
works for me. Being in your creative space,
Yes,
operating
indeed.
in your creative, being
Mm-hmm.
focused, that you coming up with ideas, original ideas, or good ideas to come up with ideas of your own, not necessarily something. Give us something that we never seen before. Be
Mm-hmm.
the first in your family to do a thing. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Break the cycle and some curses off your bloodline. Take your financial status to the next level.
Mm-hmm.
Write that book, start the business. You know,
Mm-hmm.
provide the service, market, and give your testimony, be a blessing to other people just by letting them know what you've been through. Sow those seeds, and watch God work in your life.
Right.
Yeah, I'm gonna be quiet.
Yeah.
And like you
Go
said,
ahead, Miss.
Mary, we have to help each other and be a blessing to other people. So we can't be afraid to compliment other people, to say, "Hey, that was a great job you did over there. That really looks good. How did you put that together?" We've got to come out of that basket, that crab basket of pulling other people down, and just applaud folks when they're doing good, or glean from them. You're curious about how did they get that done? How did they do it? Reach out to them
Mm-hmm.
with a pure heart, with an honest spirit, to say, "Hey, I want to know, how did you do that? Or I want to get into that too. Teach me
Mm-hmm.
how. Do you mind showing me how to do that? Because this is something I'm interested in." So it's all
Mm-hmm.
about lifting other people up, encouraging other people, showing them, "Hey, I'm not the only one who is here. I want to help you get here too. I've got something to share with you so you can be better." So it's about helping
Mm-hmm.
each other, blessing each other, not looking for anything in return. God's gonna give it to us. So, just being positive.
That's it. And not being afraid that look, somebody gonna steal my idea or somebody gonna do it better than me. You can't be afraid like that. Like it takes me back to Elijah McCoy. Like when he came up with that self lubricating device, it was somebody else that tried to create another one.
Right.
But
The
because he
real
was
McCoy.
the original, okay, that's what we get there saying. the real McCoy, because they came back returning the counterfeit, and they was asking the people, no, we want the real McCoy. They knew the difference between it because he was original. So you can't be afraid to, step out and worried about if somebody's going to do it better than you or whatever. If you are original, if you have created it, you got it. People gonna know the difference.
Yeah. Be authentic. Be you.
Yes.
Real McCoy.
No.
Mhm. That's it.
Right. Well, we want to thank everybody for joining us for Life and Sing today. Make sure that
Yeah,
you tap it into your creative space. Make sure
that's
that you're
right.
making those divine connections that'll lead you to your purpose. Don't be
Hmm.
afraid to help somebody because people need help. Iron, iron.
That's right.
Yes,
Make sure you get that
indeed.
and emotional, stuff correct. Make sure you get those issues in your heart correct so that when it's time for you to come out, when it's time for you to step out, you'll be healthy and whole and able to be effective and be a blessing to somebody else.
That's
So
it.
that's all we have for Life and Sync, ladies.
Thanks
We'll
for
see
tuning
everybody tomorrow.
in.
Bye.
Have a great night. See you next Tuesday.